Hi folks, welcome back to the amazing education station. It's about the information you need to know and that will benefit you. It's not about the video, as I always say, because it's really to listen to, not to watch. Not much amazing video, no graphs, no charts, but information that if people like, thumbs up and subscribe and follow my advice. I'm a master educator. You would have a healthier, happier, better future. In fact, the whole world, because I advise that killing people should be illegal. So war and soldiers killing innocent civilians, illegal. And if we get enough banks and companies, including the manufacturers of the weapons, to cooperate, and many other things, including education, to prevent leadership from ordering wars, because we know it's the ones that don't get killed that are ordering the wars. Anyway, if people followed my videos, we wouldn't have war and we would all be a lot wealthier, because we wouldn't be spending so much on weapons, fighting, and so on, and we would save a lot of money in government. Now, today's topic is sort of about that. It's crisis opportunity, which is crisistunity. Now, there's a word, I can't remember what foreign country has the word. It might be China or Japan or both, maybe Korea. It's one of the Asian countries that uses the Chinese characters sometimes. Excuse me. Their word for crisis is sort of similar to opportunity, and it might be the same thing. And so we can see right now, of course, there's fighting and possible economic recession, so people could be laid off, companies could go out of business, prices would go higher. I don't care how old you are. The price you're going to be paying for chocolate bars, candy bars, ice cream, it's going to go up. It's going to double and triple over a period of years. And you might think, oh, that's okay, I'll just earn more. Well, when prices go up, any money that you have saved is worth less. It's less value, and we certainly don't want to discourage people from saving, because it stops them from running into emergencies of not being able to pay for what they need. If people save an emergency fund, it doesn't prevent the emergency, but it prevents the emergency of not being able to pay for the emergency, which is a second emergency. So first, imagine somebody's working, maybe they have to pay the bill for the light, for the heat. If they didn't have heat, they would be very uncomfortable. They maybe even would die during the winter, and this could happen to you. So imagine your future. Not to mention that heating costs are certainly going up, because we're cutting out the damaging, polluting, so-called fossil fuels. So heating goes up in the future. And the money that you pay, if it's coming, say, from a job that you have or your savings, but then you don't have enough, or the company goes bankrupt or lays you off or fires you, or you have maybe a medical problem, and then, oops, you wanted to buy food. Oh, you wanted to eat. Oh, gosh. And you didn't have an emergency fund that had enough for food and to pay for the heating in your house, or the electrical bill, whatever it is. And what do you know? You can't pay the bill. You might not have heat. You might freeze to death. You could be retired, you could be young, whatever age. This could happen. Maybe you don't have family that you can go to, or the family's too far away, and they're also in a terrible economic situation, maybe. You don't know. And you can't always count on government. You might get some kind of home heating help from government. But where does government get the money? Well, they're printing it, and it's devaluing everybody's savings. And even government can run into a crisis where it just says, you know what, we messed up. We printed too much money. We found out we have mega inflation. I didn't say hyperinflation, although hyperinflation can also happen, which is just, like paying for a grocery bill could be $1 million because they just print money like crazy. And how does that happen? When you have people with mental illness and probably they're taking medicine, but not necessarily, but that, probably have very strong socialist or just anti-business ideas, and they don't understand economics. Maybe, they definitely wouldn't have a degree in economics, or they might prefer socialist economics and large government economics. And so they just say, we're just going to print as much as we have to pay for everything government needs. And, it makes people poor. Oh, well, basically, I don't care. That can happen in, say, a Federal Reserve System, central banking system, which the United States has wandered into since, it wasn't anywhere near the Founding Fathers' age. They warned strongly against central banking. And, it was along the, hyper big government people in the 1930s, although people often love, especially media loves FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, but there was a lot of basically socialism that came into the United States concepts around World War I, World War II. It's, that's when communism really took off, and it was very appealing to people, especially people that don't think straight. And along with that, we got central banking in the 1900s, and we said, oh, you know what? Gold? No, you can't even own gold. Yes, look it up. Do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice, but look into it. Gold was illegal to own. You could not use it. It was no longer so-called legal tender with the currency, with the American dollar, which originally was a $20 gold certificate. A 1 ounce of gold was worth $20, and it was sort of set at that for a good time, which provided a usefulness to the American currency, because it was not just a piece of paper, it was a depository receipt that said, this money is transferable for the gold. Well, the government just said, you know what, forget that. We don't care about your property. We don't care about this. We care about paying for government because we're the best. America's the best. And, it's going to screw up the economy and people will starve. Well, they didn't think about that. No, that's not what they were thinking. Or maybe they just didn't care because they were getting paid working for the government, almost guaranteed. And, the problem is sort of just a concept. But it comes true when you ignore economics, you don't study economics, or you don't care. You can disagree. You could have a PhD in economics or a master's in economics, but it could be socialist communist economics. Maybe not called that. Could be called Keynesian. Could be called something else, where it's like, just spend money, print money and spend money, and don't care about the consequences. And you know what? Very similar to communists and socialists, millions of people could die. Look into what happened in China, what happened in Russia. Yes, millions of people died because the governments, frankly, just didn't care. They were violent people. And that's, if you care about human rights, you would say, well, people have a right to property, and the value of their money should mean something. It should be connected to something. So if you're a socialist or a communist or you're a liberal and you think, oh yeah, the government just has to print, and wealthy people should be giving to the poor people. Even if the wealthy people work 80, 90, 100 hours a week and the poor people don't want to work, they would probably prefer that a lot of times. Or they have a health problem. Oh, you know, they did crack and cocaine and ate pizza and hamburgers because that was all that was available to them. No, that's not true. But maybe they had a health problem because of they didn't take care of their health, and then they want to go on government assistance, and liberals are all for it. Bigger government. They think government can solve all these problems, and if we just allow enough power in government, then society's going to be wonderful, just wonderful. And people that are lazy and don't want to work, it's better if we just pay them. Well, no, it's not better if you just pay them, because where does the money come from? We can just print it. Who cares? It's not connected to gold. You can print as much as you want. Well, there you go. Then you get mega inflation, maybe hyperinflation, where your money's worthless, saving money is worthless, and you run into a crisis. The entire country can run into a crisis, and millions of people can starve. So if you're a liberal, you better just change your mind, okay? And become economically conservative, maybe pro human rights type of Democrat, if you are a Democrat, or if you're a Republican liberal. Understand economics, understand that property rights and extended to money and currency and the dollar is very important. It's critical, absolutely critical. Maybe the most important thing is that the money you have saved in the bank or under your mattress has a value that is real. It's tied to, say, gold or silver or something that's real. It's not just tied to the full faith and credit of the government, because the full faith and credit of the government is worthless. Government is close to bankruptcy. It owes more money than it has, as usual, as almost always. And so that's worthless. So you really need to educate yourself and understand that the path to danger, the path to crisis, is the lack of understanding of business and economics of the non-business class, the non-wealthy. And if that's, you might not know this, but they're the wine drinkers and the beer drinkers. It's the wealthy people owning the boats, owning the horses, drinking the wine. So if you're a beer drinker and consider yourself that you have a boss, you probably don't run a business, and so you don't know all the incredible paperwork that is required for paying taxes and having employees and all that. You might know taxes because you do your own, but it's not the same. There's nothing close to the same as running a business and all the complications that requires. And having a serious professional degree, usually like in finance or management or economics, it's a different world. And so you don't understand, and you can criticize them. You might not like them because all your friends don't like them, and you can just spout your opinions while you're drinking your alcohol, killing your brain cells, causing you the mental illness that makes you unhappy, and you're taking your medicine and you just want to not work and be wealthy like the wealthy people, but you don't want to do the work and you don't want to take care of your body. So this is an opportunity for you, opportunity for the world. Look at Russia. Look at all the, there are certain countries, Ukraine probably, also heavy drinkers. It's a lifestyle. What do you do for recreation? Well, plant some potatoes, make some alcohol, drink the alcohol. That's what we're doing for fun. Well, but then there's the long-term consequences, including you have a terrible economy, you have a lot of trouble and corruption, and people are unhappy, and they don't mind just you know, hating other people, go for the communism, be part of the people in power, and hope that, you know, you're one of the loyal ones that doesn't get killed and doesn't get sent off to the icy wasteland where people just work until they perhaps starve to death or die of a disease because of poor nutrition and freezing, or, you know, freezing conditions or some other exposure conditions. Look at the history of China. Look at the history of communism. And it's not a friendly history. The people are unhappy. So it's an opportunity to be happier when you take care of your health. You feel a lot better. So eat right. Avoid toxins. Intoxication comes from alcohol. So alcohol is a toxin. Yes, it is. And you think, well, that's what I do. How can you have a social life without it? Well, that's for you to find out. Go to some AA meetings, Alcohol Anonymous, or some other kind of meetings. You'll find millions of friends, millions, that don't drink. Now, you can also just cut back, have a drink or two every year. How about that? You know, maybe a glass of wine. They say red wine is healthy for you, maybe once a week. Something like that. It's probably not going to kill too many brain cells. And eat healthy. Avoid the American diet. Try a Mediterranean diet, or a maybe Japanese diet. They're, you know, different types of food. But don't do a diet per se. Like anybody that's like, I'm on a diet, I'm trying to lose weight, just usually fails those fad diets. What you should do is, I'm eating healthy, you know, I want to be healthy and this is what I do. You might say, oh, I feel so hungry. You know, when you feel hungry, your body converts fat into energy, and that's the feeling of losing weight. So if you have any weight problems, and chances are probably greater than 50%, if you're listening to this video, it's you. Well, try eating fish, chicken and vegetables. It's protein, it's healthy, whole grains. Try eating healthy. And you can look into a Mediterranean diet or a Japanese diet, and go to grocery stores. Like, there are even Japanese grocery stores or Italian grocery stores. Maybe you can find like a Mediterranean type store and just buy food from there, and there you go. But don't try to diet. Don't try to, you know, have tiny portions. And I said eat fish and chicken and vegetables. I didn't say eat only chicken, fish, and vegetables. No. I mean, you should have fruit. You need some calcium in your diet as well. You know, so a little dairy may be okay. There are a lot of other products that have calcium now, like there's almond milk, soy milk, and others that have added calcium. So you need that for health as well. So anyway, there's an opportunity. And yeah, if the people with the poor nutrition and the bad health habits of the world, like the smokers in China and Asia, oh my gosh, you have to wonder, like, how did the people in China get so convinced on such a dangerous doctrine as communism and Karl Marx? If you say you have a good education, you're a A student or maybe a high B student, and you try to read any communist literature, it's just nonsense. The sentences don't even make sense, or they contradict reality when you read it. But it's an attitude that inspired people, just a negative attitude against business people, as I described. And so how did people become convinced? Maybe they didn't even read the book and they are just followers. And you can be a follower like sheep and be part of the flock, and you get led, you know, sheep get sheared and sheep are eaten as mutton. So you want to be a follower and part of the flock just to get along with your friends. Well, you might get eaten, and definitely you get sheared of your money and other things. Yeah, your job when you tread toward communism and socialism. Socialism is just like partway down the hill, but it's a slippery slope, as they say. Like, it's a bad step to take. You want to avoid it at all possible costs. When you promote human rights, you're saying, well, you also it's wrong to steal from people. You shouldn't be able to walk into somebody's house and take their pillow or their food, so why do we allow government to do it? America is very mixed government. As I said, a lot of socialism has come into our society. People begrudgingly accepted it because of the wars, because of other problems, instead of promoting human rights and greater protection for human rights, because they just didn't understand. And same thing with China. The people didn't understand. There's a lot of cigarette smoking. Even ages ago, opium was big in China. So a lot of poor nutrition, and you have lower IQs, and too many people. That's another problem. They did figure out you have to control the population, because if you don't have enough food, children grow up so poor and poorly fed that they can't think straight because their brains don't develop correctly. Throw in alcohol and cigarette smoking and other drugs, and you have a population that is just clueless, hopeless, unhappy, and they want any change, and they'll grasp at leaders that lead them to starvation and death, which is anti-human rights, pro taking of property. So what do socialists and communists do? They take over businesses because they believe ownership of business is evil. But businesses are owned by people. They're created by people. They work their lives and dedicate themselves to helping others. That's what business people do. Of course, we have evil, wealthy business people that don't care. Yes. But you have millions of small businesses. They know, like, the customers know the owners. And even big businesses have good owners too. You have good and bad, just like any profession. The bad ones are pointed out by largely liberal, communist, socialist media. And so if you read newspapers, then you're just going to hate business, probably, very likely, unless you read the investing newspapers or the investing news. And then you might smarten up, and then you wouldn't hate business so much. And also just realize business is there. It has to provide a good or service, or it will